I had gotten addicted to cocaine, which eventually led to the loss of my job, my friends, my girlfriend, and eventually led to a suicide attempt. When I was ready, Crossroads had a bed open for me.
Addiction overtook me. I came here to Crossroads, and I gave my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood it.
I first started drinking when I was 12 years old. By the age of 16, I was a problematic drinker, blackouts, legal trouble, things like that. And I've been struggling with addiction and alcoholism now for 20 years.
And at the end of it, my kids were in CPS, and I found myself at Crossroads for Women. I was completely broken. I was void of everything. That's where I found my hope. That's where I found my life.
At Crossroads, we hear these kind of stories every single day. We opened over 50 years ago to help alcoholics find sobriety. Then, we began helping those with drug addiction. A few years ago, crystal meth use was a raging epidemic. Today, it's prescription pain pills and heroin. About 8% of adults in Maricopa County are addicted to opioids in one form or another. I don't know what the next drug of choice will be, but I do know that there will be one. Bequest gifts, both large and small, will help Crossroads return addicts to productive lives, whatever the future brings.
He was always a great student, on a roll from the time he was in kindergarten, and just a great athlete as well. Always very interested in learning. So I had no doubts that his future was going to be, high school, college, and beyond. That he was going to shine.
When I was 14, I started to take my dad's Vicodins, and it was right in that time period that I began to use IV drugs as well. At some point in my life, there became a complete inability to stop, regardless of consequence, regardless of how much I wanted to or needed to. And that's the truth of my experience.
It didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that, I went to work every day, I was a good mom. How does this happen?
I was a 26-year-old, 5-time convicted felon. I was living with my mom. I was unemployable. I could hardly get out of bed. I never believed I could ever get sober, period.
My mom and dad were like Ward and June Cleaver. So I didn't have the tools.
So the only options that I really had at that point was to take a suggestion from somebody else. In this case, that suggestion was made by a probation officer that said go to rehab or go back to prison.
So I so appreciate Crossroads. I think it's amazing. And what a wonderful, wonderful program of help and support, and for families.
Other than my recovery, my wife and my kids give my life the greatest amount of purpose and meaning that anybody could ever hope for.
My wife and I are both in recovery. I've been clean and sober now for 5 years. My #1 goal today is to be a good father to my children and a good husband to my wife. I started using drugs regularly at the age of 12. I started smoking weed and progressed to other substances, including crystal meth, heroin, and crack cocaine. Eventually, I was arrested on felony burglary charges and threatened with 7.5 years of prison. By the grace of God, the judge saw something that I didn't see at the time, and he released me to Crossroads on probation. It was hit or miss. One day, I was all about getting help, and it never lasted long. The drugs always pulled me back. Sometimes those moments of clarity last for a couple days. Sometimes it was a few minutes. This program is not for people who want it, and it's not for people who need it, but it's for people who do it.
Addiction plagues people from all walks of life. For those who want to help us, one of the best ways is by making a bequest. That means we're not asking for donations now, Instead, we are inviting donors from all walks of life to leave a legacy by remembering Crossroads in their will. A bequest is very flexible. For instance, a donor could bequest a certain dollar amount or a percentage of their estate. It could even be in the form of physical property or an investment. Whatever form it takes, a bequest makes a lasting impact with the power to help someone build a new sober life. Please give us a call and we'll help you get started.